We are approaching one of the most powerful alignments of the year, the Lion's Gate portal. So this is a time when the sun in Leo aligns with the dog star Sirius, opening up a channel for light, clarity, and manifestation. So you may feel called to step more firmly into your power, express yourself more boldly, or release old narratives that have been holding you back. So tonight we're going to explore what the Lion's Gate portal is all about, as well as powerful techniques that you can use to tap into this powerful energy right now. So merry meet. I'm Aislin. This is Ask Aislin. Tonight we're here talking about the magic of the Lion's Gate portal. So welcome to those who are joining us live. Say hi in the chat and let us know that you are here with us live. And we'll get started because we have a lot to talk about tonight. If you have any questions or comments, as always, we have a Q&A at the end. Leave those in the chat. I'll be watching as we go, and I'll be answering questions when we get to the Q&A. Leave a heart or a thumbs up somewhere in the video, and that will help us get this out to the feed of more people. So just saying merry meet to a few I see in the chat. Hi to Stephanie and to Felicia. Anybody else who's here, let us know. And we're going to dive right in. There's a lot to talk about tonight. So for some of you, this may be your first time talking about the Lion's Gate portal. So we're going to go through what it is energetically, as well as what is happening physically out astrologically and or astronomically in the universe. And then we'll also talk about ways that you can tap into this energy. So there's a lot that you can do at this time, from manifestation to, like I mentioned, releasing old narratives and old patterns, to finding more clarity, to stepping out and expressing yourself in greater ways, maybe ways that you've been held back from really expressing who you are. So all of that wrapped into one is here in the Lion's Gate. And welcome also to Joanne and Cindy. Welcome everybody. All right, so why don't we dive right in? Let's talk about the Lion's Gate portal. So this is a powerful vortex of energy. It is a way that energy can be channeled from the universe into us, into the planet, and then into us individually. So it is a great time for soul growth. So sometimes people will feel that they are up leveling during this time. It can be a great time of powerful creativity. It can be a great time of finding your courage. So if you've been working on something that requires courage to actually put it into practice, now is a great time for whatever that thing is, a great time for manifestation as well, especially because of how it aligns to the Lunaza season, especially the start of Lunaza. So I'll be talking about all of this in tonight's episode. Now, the dates of the Lion's Gate portal. So this isn't a one-day phenomenon. So we're actually already in it. If you're watching this live, it's August 5th. The Lion's Gate portal will hit its peak on the 8th, which I'm going to talk about in just a moment. But the Lion's Gate portal begins to open up around the end of July, and most people will say between the 26th of July and the 28th. So the energy sort of starts to begin then. And if you've been feeling some kind of transformative energy over the past week or so, it could be explained by the opening of the Lion's Gate portal. And then the Lion's Gate portal, just as it opens around the end of July, it will then close on August 12th. And then the energy will kind of move on, and then the energy is over until the next year. But it always hits its peak on August 8th, 8-8. And we're going to talk about the significance of the number 8, and then in fact in having two 8s at one time. But let's also talk about what is the Lion's Gate portal? What is this alignment all about? So first of all, we have the sun in Leo. So we are already firmly in Leo season at this point when the Lion's Gate portal opens. The Leo, for those who don't know, Leo is a sign of power. It's a sign of personal sovereignty. It's a sign of the sun. The sun itself is the ruler of the sign Leo. Leo is about leadership, it's about self-expression, and it's about creativity when we're looking at those more positive aspects of the sign of Leo. Now, when the sun in Leo aligns with Sirius and the Earth and the Orion's belt, so we have this kind of powerful alignment between the sun us on Earth, the dog star Sirius, and the Orion's belt. And all of this happens right at 8/8 at that most powerful peak part of the cycle. This is a big cosmic alignment, and it opens up this powerful vortex of energy. And so if you don't do anything at all, you're still going to experience this energy. So sometimes people are like, well, what if we miss it? You can't really miss it because the energy sort of opens up and everybody it has the potential to align to that energy or to experience that energy. So even if you do nothing at all, it's still, that energy is still all around you. And so just even passively, you will experience this energy portal. But for people like us who practice magic, who are trying to tap into universal energies, we actually can do so much more. And that is what we're going to talk about for most of this episode today. But I want to back up and just talk a bit about Sirius. So Sirius, spelled Sirius, is the brightest star in our sky here from the perspective of Earth. It is often called the dog star, and many people will say that Sirius is like our spiritual sun. So we have our own sun, right, that we look up to, and our planet and the other planets in our solar system are orbiting around our own sun. Our own sun is our physical sun, but Sirius, being the biggest star and the brightest star in our sky, is like our spiritual sun. So we look to it in a lot of ways. We look to it in a similar way as we would look to our own physical sun. Our own physical sun gives us warmth and heat and energy that allows the planet to grow with abundance, right? Without the sun, we know that in periods of extinction, of mass extinctions on the planet, it's typically been because the sun was blocked out through clouds or different things that block out the sun. So we receive all of that sustenance and that warmth from our physical sun, but from our spiritual sun, Sirius, we experience more. We experience the ability to kind of up level, to tap into light codes or to tap into energy that we can download and that we can use it to propel us forward in our spiritual journey. Now, Sirius also has long been associated with prosperity, abundance, and fertility. So some believe that this special event, so basically when the sun in Leo aligns with Sirius and our Earth and the Orion's belt, this opens up this big portal that allows us to connect the physical self to the spiritual self. So everything that you're doing here in the physical plane and everything that you would like to do in the spiritual plane have this chance to connect. And that's really what's going on during the Lionsgate portal. Now, many cultures throughout history have also looked at this, have looked at Sirius and felt that it was of great importance to them. So, for example, the Egyptians, they venerated Sirius as the physical manifestation of their agricultural goddess Sopdet. And they felt that every year, the rising of Sirius is associated with the flooding of the Nile. And living in a desert community like the ancient Egyptians were doing, and not knowing as much about irrigation and the different agricultural technologies that we now have in our modern world, they worked with sympathetic magic and working with these deities that would create more sustenance and fertility around them. So when Sirius was seen to kind of rise at this point of the wheel of the year, they associated that with the rising of the agricultural deity Sopdet, who would then bless the land, flood the Nile, flooding this desert area and making it fertile so that the crops could grow, and then the people would have sustenance to make it through till the next time that the phenomenon happens. So it's not just us as modern witches who looked at this event as being important. And while we don't have to look to Sirius nowadays to give us the abundance or flood the Nile or flood whatever it is around us that we need for sustenance, nevertheless, there's this spiritual significance to it as it opens up this portal and it essentially floods us with energy that we can then tap into to up-level ourselves, find more clarity, manifest things we want, let go of old patterns that no longer serve us, and really take us, put us in this place where we can up level and transform. So at the same time, there are people who feel that like higher frequencies of energy also flood the earth during this time. And if we understand how to work with them, we can tap into them. So like I mentioned, a person who doesn't even know anything about any of this can sit here and still experience, they're still going to experience this sort of portal opening, and they might perceive it as, they might feel a little amped up. They might feel like a little luckier, like, the sun is shining down and good things are happening. But for people like us, we can tap into it and we can take it to that next level. Now, this is a chance for us to find spiritual acceleration or spiritual evolution at this time. So if there's something you've been working on and you're trying to take it to the next level, this is going to be a good time for you. It's a time, like I mentioned, it's thought that light codes, spiritual downloads, epiphanies, and aha moments are more prevalent. So to me, this connects to our shadow work in a lot of ways. So when we're working with our shadow, or we're trying to figure out how we want to evolve or how we're going to evolve, sometimes there's a lot of murkiness and mystery to it. Like we may know what our problems are, but we don't know how to get past them. And then sometimes all of a sudden there's this aha moment, this epiphany that comes. And it may come from the higher self, it may come from our guides, it may come from the energy around us, but all of a sudden it's like all of this information is aware. We're aware of this information and we are able to use it. And you may all of a sudden understand that thing that you didn't have the answer to, you may all of a sudden have the answer to it just in that snap of your fingers. So that is what a spiritual download feels like, an aha moment. Things that have puzzled you for decades may all of a sudden become clear in that moment. And you can tap into all of this energy right now. So light codes, for anybody who's never heard the term before, a light code is an energetic frequency that is thought to be created by divine energy, and it can come down to us here on Earth from out from the universe, from something outside of us, and it can be used for our own personal growth, but also for planetary growth. So there's an aspect of this that isn't all just personal. So, and we're going to, I think what we're going to do too is I'm going to pull a card later, and we're just going to see overall what is sort of the theme for the Lionsgate portal of 2025. What download could the collective receive at this time? And then you can also do a similar reading for yourself to figure out how it's going to play out for you in your own personal life. So I'm going to talk about the numerology as well of 88 in just a moment, but I just wanted to pause and say hi to anyone else who is joining us. So Mary, me to Andrea and Amy, who are also here. And just asking in the chat too, and this is for you live or those who are watching back later, do you work with the Lionsgate portal? Is this going to be your first time working with it? What do you know about it? So sometimes people, this is their first time even hearing about it, and realizing that there's this this kind of energy they can tap into. All right. So let's talk about the numerology then of 88. So there is a great significance to the number 8, just like there's a great significance to any number. There's a significance to the number 8, but there's also going to be a significance to the fact that we have 2 8s here. So if you take an 8 and you turn it on its side, you will create the infinity sign. So we already have this powerful aspect of 8 in that it can talk to or can speak volumes about the cycles that we're in, eternal cycles, in fact. So if we think about like the wheel of the year, for example, it's not like we just start at one point of the wheel turns, and then everything ends, right? It's a continuous cycle. So when one cycle ends, the next cycle begins, and it goes on and on, over and over and over again. So this is really about the eternal cycles of our own personal lives, as well as the eternal cycles of the planet and the universe, for that matter. So now when we have 2 8s side by side, they can mirror each other, one representing the divine feminine and the other representing the divine masculine. In another way, you could think of this as the union between the material and the spiritual. Now, 8 is a number of manifestation, it's a number of creation. It's a number that allows you to claim your role as a co-creator. So sometimes we think that we don't have any power over things. It feels like things are just being done to us. But really, we have some responsibility in how we create our own lives. So we may not be able to control the things that happen to us, but we absolutely can control the way that we frame them, the way we think about them, the way that we use them to either allow ourselves to fall into kind of darkness and depression, or to find ways to rise above the traumas and the tribulations and the hardships in our life. And that way we become a co-creator, right? So 8, though, is also associated with the planet Saturn. Now, those who know that Saturn can be a difficult planet to work with. It governs structure, it governs discipline, and it also governs our limitations. It's a constrictive energy at times. At least it can feel that way. But the thing about Saturn is that as Saturn as our taskmaster, as the teacher, as the deliverer of the hard life lessons, what we know is when we pass those lessons, when we move through them with grace, we eventually get to a higher level of evolution. And so really what Saturn does is it gives us the things that we need to evolve in the way that we've chosen to evolve in this life, in this incarnation as we come in here. So we're kind of veiled from all of that when we incarnate or reincarnate into this plane. All that's veiled to us, and then it's our life journey that unveils it for us, or at least we hope so, right, when we're on this more spiritual journey. Now, Saturn can show us the places where we're being held back if we're willing to look at it. Like if we just want to reject it and just be like, I don't want to look at the trauma, I don't want to look at the lessons, I don't want to look at the hard stuff. I just want to put my head down and just kind of bliss out, or maybe distract myself through various things in this physical plane. Then it will feel like Saturn is doing stuff to us, that it's very constrictive, right? But if we look at it like, well, what could I learn from that experience? Then we're going to see that Saturn is really showing us the places that we're held back. Now, what happens is that when you view those lessons, you got that 8 kind of upwards like this, and in representing Saturn in some ways, right? And then we learn how to transmute it. We learn how to learn from it. We tip that 8 on its side, and now it's the infinity sign. And the infinity sign is about opportunity and optimism and expansion and transformation. So really what Lionsgate portal and working with the 8 numbers of this time of the wheel is about figuring out, how am I going to take the things that I have within me, and how am I going to transform them. Now, this can be a powerful time for you, though, to assess your limitations and to assess any blockages that you have, because any limitations and blockages that we carry with us through the portal, they're still going to be on the other side, right? And they are severely limiting us. So our limiting beliefs, things that we might have picked up when we were children, like I'm not good enough at this, or I'm not smart enough, or I'm not pretty enough, or whatever those limitations are. We can carry them all the way through the portal onto the other side, and then they're still going to be with us. But we also have this time during the portal to assess it. What is going on? Where did these things come from? How are they holding me back? Is it really worth my energy to carry with me all my limiting beliefs? Or could I let go of some of them while the portal is open? So the choice is always yours. And the other thing to think about too is, even if we're not able to let go of all the things that hold us back, it's not like this is the only time that the portal opens. It opens every single year. And in fact, you have kind of mini sequences of this going through the wheel. Every dark moon, you have the chance to assess your limitations and let go. So that is what we talk about when we talk about these eternal cycles. They're just going all on over and over and over again, allowing you to release, let go of what doesn't serve you, move on, kind of become who you are now that you've let go of those things. And then the next time an energy like this opens up, assessing where are my limitations, letting go of what I can, moving on through it, kind of seeing where I'm at now, and I do it over and over and over again. And then that is what's really leading to spiritual evolution. It's not like tonight we're going to wave a wand when the Lion's Gate portal opens and everybody's healed and better and we're all great. It's not really how spiritual evolution works. It's a sequence, it's a cycle. You do some work, you kind of live in that work and see where you are now, and then you do more work and you just keep going until eventually, you kind of let go of all of your limiting beliefs. So I see in the chat, Bernadette was saying this is her first time kind of talking about it, hearing about it, working with the Lion's Gate. Andrea says all that she has done is a Lion's Gate guided meditation in the past on 8/8. And then Felicia said she's done prosperity magic the last few years on 8/8. Yeah, and so like in our own coven, we do a lot of prosperity magic at that time, and then like also letting go blockages that might be in the way of that prosperity. But there's a lot of different ways that we can work with the energy. We're going to talk about all of that in turn. So whether you're somebody who, this is your first time hearing about it and working with it, or you're somebody who's done work with the Lion's Gate portal before, you're going to have a lot of ideas of what you can do this year, next year, the next year, the next year. Okay, so let's talk more about kind of the energy of this time. So we have Leo energy and solar power. So I mentioned earlier, Leo is, it's ruled by the sun itself. So we have a lot of powerful solar energy at this time. Leo asks you to step into your radiance. So if you are a Leo yourself, or you know someone who is a Leo, the personalities of a Leo is very kind of larger than life, loves to step on stage, whether that is an actual physical stage or just sort of be in the spotlight. And of course, all of that can be colored by other planetary placements in a person's chart, but that's typically what Leo energy feels like. The key words of Leo are courage, truth, boldness, realizations, creativity, leadership, self-awareness, and self-belief. So this is not about ego, but about authenticity. So it's how we align our energy within to the way that we are showcasing ourselves outside to the outside world. So one of the questions to ask yourself right now is, do you feel safe being seen? Do you feel that when you express who you truly are, does you feel that that is safe when you do that? And so that's a question. It's not a question that necessarily needs an immediate answer. It could be one that you contemplate. Are you aligning who you really feel like in your soul with what you are projecting outwards into the world? So do those two align, or do they not align? Now, for most of us, the answer is probably going to be they don't quite align. Like some people may feel like they don't align at all. Like I may be feel like one person inside, but yet I'm like a shadow of that person on the outside. Other people may feel like they pretty much align, but that is going to be the question for us. The more shadow work that you have done, who you are inside, like who you have determined you are, and who you project outside are going to be more similar than if you haven't done a lot of shadow work, probably. Now this is also a time when the veil between your soul and everyday life grows thinner. So at this time, what it allows for you to do is more readily align who you are inside with who you are projecting to the outside world. So really, what the Lion's Gate portal invites you to do, what Sun and Leo in particular invites you to do, is to step into who you really are. So if you're not really sure the answer, like if somebody says, who are you really? And you're not really sure of the answer, then that would be a good time, a good prompt for you to reflect on during this time. So we are not the mask that we wear on the outside because we think that's what everybody wants to see. This is a time when we can try to more readily step into who we really are. So I think, some of this goes back to your shadow work. Like if we're not really aware of the mask that we're wearing, we're not even going to be really aware that we're not the same person inside as outside. And I would venture to say that your average person who isn't very spiritual would tell you that they're the same person inside as outside. But the majority of spiritual people are going to say, I'm working on myself. I'm trying to align those two things. I'm trying to make them similar or the same eventually, but I am not there. So unless you are, this is your last incarnation and you've done all your soul work across your incarnations, you probably have some work to do here, and you're probably going to answer like, yeah, I mean, what I am inside and what I project to the outside aren't always aligned. Now, during this time, because of Leo, the sun in Leo, and all of this fiery solar energy, this is also a time when we can have an activation of the solar plexus. So if we want to do some energy work during the Lionsgate portal, we want most of that energy work to be focused on the solar plexus, and then some of it also to be focused on the heart. Now, the heart is the bridge between your lower chakras and your upper chakras. And again, we were talking about the portal being kind of a bridge between the physical and the spiritual. So this is why the heart is also really open, or really important to open here. Now, your solar plexus is your personal power. It's your personal sun. Your heart chakra is about truth and compassion. And most of the time, it's the compassion for ourselves that becomes hardest. It's much easier to be compassionate for other people and about their plights and their traumas and their struggles, and a lot harder to be compassionate for ourselves. So this is a great time if you are somebody who feels like it's hard to be compassionate for yourself. If you find self-love and self-care difficult, this would be a great time to work on that. Like, how can I love myself more? How can I give myself what I need and not just be giving everybody else what they always need? How can I really become selfish in some ways, right? And focus on myself. Now, working with your solar plexus can help you with questions of or problems of feeling like you're an imposter. So imposter syndrome, a lot of people carry that. They feel like this, I'm not doing it right. I'm not good enough as a witch or a magical practitioner. So if you have doubts about yourself, if you have self-belief issues, if you have self-confidence issues about your magical abilities or your mundane abilities, this is a great time also to work on those. Now, you may feel a tension right now. You might feel a tension between who you have been and who you are becoming. Because remember, unless we're at the very end of the reincarnation cycle and we're about to leave the wheel, leave the wheel of reincarnation, we all have work to do. So there's who you once were, there's who you are right now, and there's who you are going to become, and then there's who you eventually, who you truly are, like your higher self, right? And so anywhere along here, you're in one of those places. So it's really, the Lionsgate portal can ask you, like, who have you been versus who are you becoming? And the tension there is that the things that are most familiar are the things that we clasp onto and we cling to. And even if they don't serve us, there can be this unconscious part of us that's clinging desperately to who we used to be. I will often have nostalgia for times of life that aren't even particularly good. And I'll be like, well, why would you have like a nostalgia for that time period? And a lot of times the answer is it's because it's familiar. You know what happened, as opposed to right in this moment, you don't know what will happen tomorrow. You don't know what will happen in 5 seconds. And so sometimes there can be this clinging to the past, even to a past that isn't positive, because at least it's familiar and at least we know it, right? If we are somebody who has had a lot of trauma, trauma is familiar. If we are somebody who's had a lot of bad relationships are familiar. And so you're going to cling naturally to the things that are familiar to you. But what the Lionsgate portal asks you to do is step here in present and to kind of feel that tension between who you once were and who you are becoming, and then see if we can move through it, right? And move forward into our lives and let go of the things we need to that aren't serving, so that we have space for what really will serve us eventually. So here's a really nice prompt for you. And so when I give these prompts, you could do this a variety of different ways. You could journal on it. You could pull some cards. You could do scrying. There's all kinds of ways you could work with these prompts. I like to go walking or hiking and then think about them. But here's a really nice prompt. What would I look like if I led with my heart? Without shrinking or apologizing, right? So if I were really heart-centered and I was really trying to align to who I truly am, what would it look like if I just led from that place, from the place that I truly am authentically, and I didn't worry about what other people thought, or I didn't shrink away from it, or I didn't apologize? What would I look like? So that can be a really good prompt to contemplate, right? However you like to contemplate prompts. So I'm just going back to the chat, and then we're going to talk about some of the themes in particular for this Lionsgate 2025. And just saying, Merry Meet, I see Peggy's with us, and Junior is here. Haven't seen Junior in a while. Merry Meet. He said, new to the spiritual and magic and witchcraft practice and journey, but I believe I added you 4 years ago. It's been a while. Yeah. And Andrea says, yes, so much. Yeah, so I knew there would be people relating to some of this, to some of these themes. Okay, so let us talk about what in particular are the themes for Lionsgate 2025. So this will change a little bit depending on the Lionsgate we're in. So, but some of it will also be the same. So one of the themes for this Lionsgate in particular is letting go of old dreams and old identities. So this isn't meant to say letting go of all the things that we want, but sometimes there are things in our life that have long ago served their purpose. And again, like I said, we cling to them, right? Because they're familiar and we have a hard time of letting go. So this is a good time to let go of the old identities, the ones that you once were, with grace. You can have thankfulness for them. Even versions of yourself that you're not proud of are versions of yourself that were necessary for the time that you were in. But letting go of those, thanking them, thanking those old versions of yourself for helping you survive difficult times or times when you might have been at a lower evolution, thanking those and moving on. So that would be a great theme to work on, whether you are working on it in contemplation or magical practice or even just in your mundane life. Shining a light on the shadow of our potential. So we all have this potential, right? And many of us shy away and shrink away from it, or maybe we get close to it and then we step away from it because we may feel like we're not deserving, or we may feel like we don't have the skills to get the thing we want or be the person we want, or we may have all kinds of explanations. All these other people need us and therefore I can't focus on myself. But shining that light on the shadow of your potential, looking at things that stand in your way. Do you have a fear of success? It can sound like a stupid question. People will say, of course, I want to be successful. But really asking yourself, what would it mean to be successful? What does your version of success look like? Who in your life wouldn't want you to be successful? So there are some people, and may not even be malicious. There's just people, if you change who you are, other people, either they have to adapt to, and sometimes people want to stay rooted and fixed in who they are. Because remember, like I said earlier, the familiar is familiar, and that's why we cling to it. So you may change, but others around you don't. And you may fear that your success will cause some upheaval in your relationships. And that can keep you rooted in things that don't serve you. So really asking yourself, do I fear success? What would happen if I was successful? Who wouldn't want me to be successful? Who would want me to be successful? What are the positive things that would happen if I was successful? What are the negative things that would happen if I was successful? And really contemplating all of that can help you let go and release those patterns that hold you back, right? So another thing would be like visibility wounds. So a visibility wound is about it's basically our fear or a wound surrounding being out in the spotlight or being visible. So maybe you have put yourself forward at some point and people tore you down around something, and now you're afraid to put yourself out there. So kind of exploring those visibility wounds, like what is the worst thing that would happen if I put myself out there and I do what I want to do? And what is the best thing that would happen if I put myself out there and I do what I want to do? So exploring energy around visibility wounds, imposter energy and imposter syndrome. I know from talking to many of you that this is a big one for many of us, myself included. Um, you know, People are sometimes surprised to hear that, but sometimes I wonder, what the hell am I doing? Right? And those nagging doubts creep in, and they're like, do I really have what it takes to do what I'm doing? Do I have the ability to put my money where my mouth is? Like things like that, right? So if you suffer from imposter energy, or you are suffering from imposter syndrome, this is a good time for you to really shine some light on that. Where does it come from? Who in your life told you that you weren't good enough? Who in your life told you that you couldn't do something? Those are narratives that get ingrained in us and often have nothing to do with us. It might have something to do with these other people and the shadow work that they did not do or refused to do, that they projected onto you. So it's not fair, right, for you to carry their stuff, but yet you do it anyway. And by you, I mean all of us, the collective you. I do too. We're all carrying somebody else's stuff. Whether we want to believe it or not, we are all carrying old narratives that came from other people. And so this is a time for us to tease out which of those narratives are truly mine, that I will take responsibility for, and which of those narratives belong to other people who didn't do their shadow work. A lot of trauma is caused, like the trauma that we experience, is caused by people who didn't do their shadow work, right? It's not fair for us to carry that with us. So you can use this time to let go, to shed those old patterns if you want. If you are not ready to let go, because remember, like I said, clinging to the past and clinging to what's familiar is something that we all kind of get pulled towards, right? And so maybe it's time, maybe you feel okay letting go of some of it, but not all of it, and that's okay too. Your healing happens in little steps. You let go of some of it, release some of it, and eventually you'll be ready to release more. Now, this can also be true. There can also be an increased sense of kind of energy around you and trying to be in alignment with that energy. This can be especially true for empaths and those who consider themselves more sensitive to energy, to healers. So really that pull towards trying to align more to this brilliant and this bright energy that's opening up around us and not clinging to the past. So let's talk about some other things that may be happening. So people who consider themselves like star seeds, or people who feel that they might have an origin not necessarily in this plane, can feel like, can sometimes experience like longing, maybe feeling like this isn't home, right? So we were actually talking about this in our Shadow Seekers office hours last week, and we were talking about it from the perspective of past lives. So sometimes feeling very out of sorts in the present life and sort of longing for home, but not knowing what home means. And sometimes home can be a longing for another place on this planet, but it can also be it can be a longing for a place outside of this planet, because we don't know. I mean, until we die and we cross through, we don't really know what comes next. And so there are people who believe that we can reincarnate here in this plane, but we can also reincarnate in other planes, in other parts of the universe, right? So, so light codes, when people talk about light codes, it's personally not a word that I use, but I'm going to use the word now. What I would talk about here is more like cosmic downloads. To me, it's like information that is coming from outside of us, coming from the universe into us, and it's downloaded very quickly and in large amounts. So it's basically more information than your mind could logically come up with itself. So sometimes what will happen when people download this information is they have those aha moments, right? And all of a sudden they have insight into something that's plagued them in the past. But here are this is what people who are talking about 2025's Lionsgate portal, like kind of light codes, talk about, that there is going to be an activation of people's inner fire. So igniting long dormant creativity or purpose. So if you have had this energy inside of you that has been building for a long time, they're saying that this particular Lion's Gate is going to activate some of that. So you may start to feel more creative. You might have been, maybe you've been feeling stagnant, and all of a sudden you're starting to feel kind of some fiery energy inside and you want to do something with it. That is exactly what it seems like the energy of this Lion's Gate portal is doing right now. So upgrading our self-worth, releasing scarcity mindset or not enoughness. So if you have been feeling like there's not enough for me, this can be a time to let go of that as well. Like you're being called to kind of up level here by letting go of those old narratives. Or if you've had a scarcity mindset, around anything, around money, around love, around health, around healing, around friendships, around jobs, any place where we could have a scarcity mindset, we also have the opportunity to upgrade that right now in this particular Lionsgate portal. So if any of these themes are kind of resonating with you, I would jot them down and then I would just contemplate the work. So the work isn't going to be like, let's snap our fingers and you're all healed and you're all better. It's more like the portal opens, the energy is here, you have the opportunity to tap into the energy. You'll do something with it through contemplation, some kind of work, probably. And then eventually kind of the portal closes, we move on, and then it's time to integrate that into, who we are now. Now, people who have been talking about this particular Lionsgate also say that there's going to be a chance for DNA ancestral upgrades as well. So anybody who's been trying to heal like ancestral line lineage, like things like that. So healing your lineage, healing patterns that have been passed down generationally. If you've got some generational trauma that you feel that you are here to heal, this is going to be a good Lionsgate portal for that as well. Especially if you have had any kind of, if there are like kind of ancestral trauma around silencing, like not being able to like be spoken or speak or be heard, around shrinking, making yourself small, or around self-sacrifice. So if you're somebody who's like always putting everybody else first, and maybe that's something that was passed down, that's often passed down in the mother wound. So from mom backwards to grandma to great grandma, there can be a lot of self-sacrificing going on in the female side of the lineage, because women have been taught over generations to be quiet, let men do the talking, shut up, let us do everything, let men do everything, right? And so that can pass down from grandma to mother, and then eventually to us, whatever gender you identify with right now. It still can get passed down to you. So if you have like that self-sacrifice kind of mentality, people are saying that this particular Lionsgate portal is going to help you release that, if that is something that you are willing and ready to work on. So here are a few reflection questions that you can use, so a few more. So where am I still playing small because it feels safe? Okay, so again, you could contemplate that in your journaling, in just kind of walking and contemplating, in pulling cards or doing scrying. Where am I still playing small because it feels safe? What soul gifts am I afraid to own? So, you may have gifts that you are aware that you have, but you're not, you're afraid to own them. Who knows why, right? It's probably something in our shadow work. Somebody along the line taught you to to question yourself or question your gifts, or you have doubts about them. But where in what soul gifts am I afraid to own? And then here's one more. What wants to be born through me this season? So also the Lionsgate portal can feel like rebirth to people. So what are you ready to birth right now? So that can be another thing to think about. So what I wanted to do, I think I've got time to do this. Maybe I'll do this at the end. I was going to pull a card and just see like if we could get a sense of what overall in the collective the energy is about. So I will remember to do that at the end. But let's talk about different ways that we can work with this energy. So the first thing is, with integration is always about how can you apply energetically what's happening around you, how can you apply that to your own life? So, so what can we do? How can we do that for the Lionsgate portal? Now, first and foremost, you don't really need to do anything at all. So you can simply just be, and if you do nothing at all, you're still going to have some benefit from this energy. But as a witch and a magical practitioner, you probably want to do a little bit more. So let's talk about ways to tap into the energy. And I'm just going to go back to the chat and see what people are saying. A few more have joined us. Cersei's here, Mary Meet, and Peggy, Mary Meet, and Maggie. So Felicia said that she definitely is exploring visibility wound right now, and my intuition has been calling me to do things to be more seen and do what I enjoy, even though I'm scared to do them. So it sounds like you are totally aligned to this energy right now. You're kind of feeling what people are saying the themes of this particular Lionsgate portal is going to be all about. Kind of that visibility wound. What does my intuition tell me? Which is really when we tap into our intuition, that's like the center of us, right? Our soul center. What is my intuition telling me versus like what am I afraid of will happen if I'm out there and I'm visible and I'm out there to be seen. And we can be scared of that, but hopefully the Lionsgate portal, hopefully this energy will help you work through some of that. And even if it doesn't heal all of it, it will move you through to a place you're going to feel a lot more confident. Peggy said, is there a limit to the amount of reincarnated or next lives that we can have? I feel like we have many, many more. I feel like we have many, many more. I'm telling you right now, I have many, many more. So, so no, there is no limit to it. And again, like we don't really know how this works till we die and we move through to the other side. And then we know way more on the other side than we know here. And then eventually we kind of like have to forget some of it when we get incarnated or reincarnated, because that's the whole point, is like now you have, if you already knew all the answers coming into the life, there wouldn't be you wouldn't be able to do the work that you need to do. So we forget much of it, but we can retrieve some of it through our past life work. But no, there is no limit. It's not like you're going to like stall out or something. Like you're going to try, like you're not going to get the lessons and then you've used up all your lives and it's just over. It doesn't work that way. You keep being reincarnated until it's just, at some point you don't get reincarnated here again, because you've passed the lessons here, or you've figured out what you need to know from being incarnated in this world. Maggie said her father's birthday is 8/8/1925, and then she said he passed away in 2014. Yeah, so sometimes we can also have a date can feel very significant to us as well. And when a date feels especially significant to us, even more reason to work with that date. Junior said, likewise, he said, but I'm choosing to do what scares me now, like I have done all my life, even after coming out at 18 as a gay guy. He said, I've lived, learned, survived, and now at 35, I can survive and thrive the way I want to as a genderqueer, flamboyant gentleman. Yeah, and that's big solar energy, right? To be able to like move through that. And there's so many people who have to hide various aspects of themselves. Because they're afraid of what will happen when they just step into who they are. But what great solar energy to be able to stand out at 35 and be like, this is who I am, and I'm proud of it. Bernadette said, I think as many times as it takes to get done what you're supposed to do to become, plus healing your past lives. Yeah, so there's no limit to how many past lives you can have. Okay, so let's continue on. Let's talk about how we can specifically use this energy. So if you're looking for a practice to do, so 8/8, if you are watching live or you're watching in the next couple of days, it's coming up on Friday. And while you can tap into this energy, you don't have to just work on 8/8 with the energy. That will be the absolute peak of the power of the Lionsgate portal. And then remember that the portal closes on the 12th of August, and then we sort of move out of it. So I would tell people is from the 8th. The 8th is going to be your best day. I would try to do something spiritual that day. But if you miss 8/8, you still have 9, 10, 11, and then the energy kind of closes on the 12th, and then we wait for the next year for the energy to open up again. All right, so what are some things that we can do? So, like I mentioned, you don't have to do anything at all. You could just simply be and exist in the energy, and you will get some kind of up leveling just simply by being there. And by being the spiritual person that you are, you're going to be particularly sensitive to the energy anyway, in a way that, your average person might not necessarily be as sensitive to. Now, what you can do if you want to do a little bit more, though, is you can do some journaling. You can do some reflection, right? Inner reflection. You can take a walk out in the sun. So this is all about solar energy. Let the energy enter your body. Soak in the sun's energy and see what messages it has for you. So you might repeat different affirmations as you stand in the sun or you take a walk in the sun, like it's safe to shine. So like if you're somebody who's struggling with kind of putting yourself out there and shining, repeat over and over in your mind, it's safe to shine. It's safe to shine, as you let the sun, kind of wash over you and absorb it. I walk through this portal of power. So maybe it's your first time ever experiencing this Lionsgate portal and you're not sure what to expect. So you just say an affirmation like, I'm walking through this portal of power and I'm open. I am open, universe, to what messages you have to bring to me. And then just really try to be open and really try not to negate anything that's coming through. So what will often happen to people, so this is why working with your self-doubt can be good here, is you'll say that. You'll say, I am walking through this portal of power. Hello, universe. I'm open to whatever messages you have to give me. And then all of a sudden a message pops into your head, like you should sell like your car or something, or sell something that you've been, let's say, I'm just making this up, but let's say something that maybe it was a gift from an ex that you've been clinging to, and in your mind it says sell this thing, and then you say, no, that's stupid advice, and you negate it. And so what you just did is you have negated the message, right? So when we say, universe, I am open to your messages, and something pops into your head, or you have a vision, or you notice something in the periphery that's, all of this is so important because this is the message coming through. And if we keep negating what the universe is giving us, we get further and further and further divorced from our own intuition. So really step into your power there. Universe, I'm open to the messages, and then really just notice what pops into your head. What do you feel? What do you see? What do you smell? What do you hear? All of that is potential for the answers coming through. Now you can imagine the sun's light as you're walking or standing in the sun's light coming down into your crown chakra, and then imagine drawing it down into your heart and letting it kind of radiate there, and then drawing it down into your solar plexus, which by the way isn't right at your belly button. It's usually like it's usually about 2 to 3 inches around your belly button, like kind of right here. If you press in this area, you will often find like the sorest spot, and that is your solar plexus, or at least the physical location of your solar plexus. And then just imagine drawing that energy down into your solar plexus and letting it radiate there and fill your body. Now we can also set intentions. So on one hand, Lionsgate portal, because it's a moment of rebirth, kind of the portal opens, we do this work, and then it closes, and then we're sort of reborn as a new version of ourselves. This is a great time to set intentions because it has sort of a feel of a new moon to it. It's a moment of rebirth. So we can set energy, set intentions of what you want. What are you trying to draw in? What kind of a life would you like to manifest? Don't be afraid to dream big. This is the moment of big dreams, of big energy. It's the sun, right? Sun in Leo. It's our Sirius dog star rising. So dream big. This also happens to align with a full moon. So on 8/8, the full moon will hit its power, its peak power, a little bit after midnight. So if you are in Pacific time zone, on the day 8/8, the full moon is going to hit its peak like around 12:52 a.m. Pacific, and that would be 3:52 a.m. Eastern. If you're somewhere in between, you just have to calculate it for your time zone, but it's sometime in those very early morning hours of 8/9. So we essentially have the 8/8 Lionsgate portal opening at the same time that the full moon is hitting its peak power. So that means that not only do we have the energy of a new moon where we can set intentions, but we also have the energy of a full moon on top of it, which is excellent for our manifestation, which is why a lot of the time, uh, in our own coven, we use this as a chance to do some abundance and prosperity magic. So that's what I want to talk about next, prosperity and abundance magic, because the Lionsgate portal always aligns with the start of Lunaza season. In particular, astrological Lunaza, which is the exact midpoint between summer solstice and fall equinox. It changes year to year. And this year, astrological Lunaza is 8/7 to 8/8. So it's actually at the Lionsgate portal. So we basically have true astrological Lunaza on top of Lionsgate portal, on top of a full moon. This is a big deal. This is a big time for some manifestation. So if you want to draw in some abundance, I love doing witches ladders. So I showed this in the last episode. To make a witches ladder, you need some kind of a key ring like this, or a metal loop. And then you'll tie 3 strands of yarn or cord or a ribbon to it, and then you start to braid your intentions, and you can braid different things into it, like beads and feathers and charms. Here's a different version of one where somebody kind of braided down here and then put these beads on it. And I think there used to be feathers on this one that have fallen off. But you can braid your intentions in. Your intentions can be about money or about any type of prosperity or abundance you're trying to draw in. You need more love, you need more friends, more work, more health, whatever it is you need. You can braid that into your witch's ladder. It's also a great time for us to do candle magic, because that aligns to the element of fire. So I love drawing sigils into candles, activating those with my intentions, and then burning the candle. And as I do so, that sort of burns my wish out into the universe or whatever I'm manifesting. You can also do coin or money magic at this time as well. It's a great time because, again, Lunaza on top of a full moon on top of the Lionsgate portal. Now, it's also a good time for self-belief practices. We talked quite a bit about self-belief tonight. Self-belief is in self-doubt. The flip side of it is very much connected to our solar plexus. So really leaning into your inner lion can be really great. This is a good time to activate your solar plexus. By activating your solar plexus, you also in turn activate your self-belief. So you can do breath of fire. So breath of fire is a quick and rapid breath, usually typically with the mouth closed. But if you've never done it before, you can start by doing kind of a panting breath. And your belly's kind of pumping. It's a quick staccato exhale with a passive inhale in between. And then you close the mouth. So if you do a minute or 2 of a breath like that, you're going to activate your solar plexus. And that can help you activate your own internal sun. It can help you break free of some of the patterns of self-doubt. It's an incredible breath. If you have never tried it before, I highly recommend try it for 1 to 2 minutes every day for a week. And I'd be surprised that you didn't start to feel some changes, because again, it's burning up stuck and stagnant energy, moving it out of that area of your body and of your energetic body, getting it moving. And once things start to get moving, we open up. We have room for more energy. Another way to activate the solar plexus is through risk taking and trying something new. So that could be something you do on 8/8. Throw away the GPS and just drive around and let intuition guide you to places. Go to some new places you've never been before. Or try a food you've never tried before, an activity you've never tried before, and just try to take a little risk. Calling in the energy of self-belief can also be a great practice to stimulate your self-belief. And you can, basically self-belief can be called in like any other energy. And so I like to just tap on my chakras one at a time and just repeat 3 times on each one. I'm calling in the energy of self-belief, calling in the energy of self-belief, calling in the energy of self-belief, and then moving to the third eye, and then eventually down through all the chakras. And it seems like such a simple practice, but when people try it, they have found that it's very effective to bringing that energy in to where they're at. Energetic releasing. So it's also a good time to let go of all of those negative patterns. So letting go of what doesn't serve you. What do you not want to take with you when the Lionsgate portal closes on the 12th? What would you like to leave behind with it? Letting go of ancestral patterns, letting go of limiting beliefs, letting go of things that you kind of come up with through your contemplations. Maybe making a ritual of it and burning, writing it down on a piece of paper and burning it, or burying it, or writing it in kind of erasable ink and then, or pencil, and then putting it into a bowl of water and letting the water eventually dissipate and erase the words. So lots of different ways we can release what's not serving us, anything we don't want to take with us when the portal closes. So I wanted to also, just before I end, talk about some correspondences. For those of you who like to know the correspondences of a particular time of the wheel, deities that you could work with here are not limited to, but include any solar deities like Ra, Helios, Amaterasu of the Japanese pantheon, Lu, the sun god of Ireland, who is often called during Lunaza, and in fact that is the holiday itself is named after him. So any solar deities can be used here, but also any deity that you just feel connected to is always a good one to work with. Herbs like sunflowers, marigolds, chamomile, and saffron are also very good herbs to be using at this time. Any herbs that are connected to the sun, connected to Leo, connected to the element of fire, like cinnamon or some of the mints. Any of those would be great solar herbs to also use. Stones like citrine, yellow calcite, topaz, carnelian, sunstone, and goldstone. So basically stones that are yellow or orange would be very good to work with at the Lionsgate portal. Colors like orange and yellow. So if you're doing some candle magic, yellow and orange is always good choices for your candles at this time. And then those of you who like symbols, the symbols that could work would be a lion, symbol of a lion, sun, the solar wheel, which is like a circle with a even armed cross in the middle of it, the number 8, 8 tipped on its side to make infinity, or sunflowers. So any of those would also be some really good symbols. So I'm going to move into the Q&A in just a moment. I have one question that that was left for me and that I'm going to share some thoughts on. If anybody else has any questions, put them in the chat if you're live. And even if you're not live, put them in the chat. I'll go back later and answer those as well. But I thought it would be fun. Let's just draw a card together and let's see if there's any message coming through about collectively kind of what kind of energy can we expect here with this particular Lionsgate portal as we come to the peak of the Lionsgate portal. So what kind of energy can we expect in the collective? Okay, let's see what we get and see if it resonates with us at all. Okay. That's kind of interesting. So the card we get is awaiting results. So this particular card, this aligns with the 7 of Pentacles, if anybody's familiar with traditional meanings of tarot. So this card is, I think this one's kind of interesting too. So to me, this is suggesting that what we have done collectively, we're sort of like, we're putting energy out into the collective, or the collective itself is kind of at this point that we're waiting to see the results of what is going to happen next. And so we can think of this, you can also apply this to your own personal life as well. Like, in what area of your life are you related, or are you awaiting results? But this is sort of the energy. To me, it sounds like it feels like we're sort of at this tipping point when we get to the height of the Lionsgate portal. It's like, what's going to happen next? Like, so I would sort of expect that maybe as we hit the peak of the Lionsgate portal, maybe something will happen that we've been waiting to hear about. and it will become clear. The clarity of the sun and the sun's energy will shine light on it and make that more clear for us. But I would expect something to happen on the 8th that we've been kind of waiting for, both in the collective and both personally. Okay, so let's open up for the Q&A. But before I do that, let me just tell you about, if you would like to join us for our Lunaza Lionsgate portal ritual, we have one coming up on 8/8 at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, this Friday, 8/8. Now, if you are not a member of our Shadow Seekers membership or Coven of Midnight's Flame, you can still join us. So if you are a member of either group, you do not need a ticket. Your ticket is just part of your membership. So you can find the Zoom link in the membership portal, and it will also be emailed to you. But if you are not part of one of our groups, we would love for you to join us as well. So you can get a ticket through a donation of any amount. And I'm going to put a link in the chat. So if you would like to spend the Lionsgate portal with some people, us, and have some fun with us, there is the link to that. And you, like I said, you can get a ticket through a donation of any amount. And we're going to be doing some prosperity magic. And we're going to be doing some knot magic and some candle magic. And I'm also going to be teaching a special energetic manifestation practice that people can then take with them even after the Lionsgate portal and use it to tap into the abundant energy. So it's going to be a great ritual. We're working with the sun god Lu and his foster mother Tialtu, who is the personification of the earth. And we'll be sort of thinking about how these two energies, sun and earth, play inside of us, and how the energies of prosperity and sacrifice, those who know Tialtu's story know she sacrificed her own life for her people. So how do the energies of prosperity and sacrifice play out in our own lives? So it's going to be a really great ritual. It's different than last year. We worked with Ganesha and Lakshmi, and this one's we're going to be working more traditionally with Lug and Taltu, but also still doing all of our Lionsgate work. And we hope that you will join us, and we'd love to have you. So if you have any questions about that, you can let me know. So that is coming up on 8/8. And just to mention too, anybody who purchases a ticket to that or is in one of our groups, you will all get a recording of that. So even if you can't come live, purchase, if you want to join us, purchase the ticket if you're not in our groups, and you can, you'll get a replay, and you can play it, and you can do it at any time afterwards. I think on 8/12, I think I'm going to be doing a episode on glamour magic, I believe. I've been talking about it for a while. And then on 8/19, I'm going to be doing an episode on cord cuttings and releasings. So those are what are coming up. So let me go now, and let's just see if there's anything more in the chat, if anybody has any questions. Junior said, bless you all, and blessed such be darling, such beautiful souls here commenting and watching at the moment. Yeah, it's always, that's the fun part about being live too, is seeing all the people here in the chat. I think you can leave reactions to any of the comments. I think you could just hover over like and leave a reaction to those. Bernadette says, I'm so glad I'm not working in the healthcare field anymore. That would be a heck of a night shift. Full moon, Lionsgate portal, and Lunaza, astrological Lunaza. Yeah, that would be a big night shift, wouldn't it? Felicia said there are so many possibilities to come out of our efforts, is how I see the Seven of Pentacles. She said being open to our outcome and don't focus on one specific outcome. Okay, so let me answer this one question that was left for me. So Kurt was asking about, he said, has there ever been any cases of possession within the craft? And he said, if so, what process would be done, like an exorcism? So I think I understand the question. I assume that by possession you mean possessed by some kind of a spirit of some kind, or some kind of an energy, potentially a negative energy. So I think that there's nothing that would make us immune if possession, if anyone can be possessed by an entity, I don't see any reason why witches or people working in the craft would be immune to that. So I think, though, what will often happen is that possession isn't always the first. Sometimes there are easier explanations. So sometimes people will feel that they've been possessed by something, and it could just be that you have some negative energy attached to you. Sometimes it can simply be shadow work that a person is going through can make it seem like they're attracting really negative things, and like their luck is bad, they're dropping things. Things are falling over or breaking, things like that. Those are always signs that sometimes, like, maybe negative energy is attached to you. But I always tell people at the very simplest level, think about, do you is there anything that in any way that you or shadow work that you are doing or should be doing could be creating any of that, like maybe limiting beliefs or limiting patterns that you're engaging in could attract more negative energy to you. So that would be at the most basic level, kind of then, without going all the way to like, oh, we're being possessed by demons or evil spirits or anything like that. Sometimes people can just simply be picking up negative thought forms or negative energy that someone else is sending to them, whether they're doing it intentionally or they're doing it just unconsciously. Sometimes people can just have bad thoughts about us, and we can pick up some of that energy as well. So if a person were to notice, like, when people start dropping things, losing things, things like that, we can always go to that question of, is it possible that I have somewhere along the line picked up a negative thought form, or even more so, more serious, have picked up a negative entity that is now attached to me? And then at the very most extreme level of this, perhaps there is a negative spirit that is actually attached to that person. But it's important to kind of see all three levels of this. Is it kind of us? Is it a negative energy or negative thought form, or is it actually a negative entity or spirit? So when it comes to a person who has decided that, yes, I feel like a negative entity has attached to me or a negative spirit has attached to me, I think that at the first level is that you can put boundaries around yourself and do some protection magic. And I think a witch is very effective at driving off that energy just by themselves. But if it feels like it's bigger than you, that is where somebody could then consult with an expert who is trained at dislodging negative entities or negative spirits. So Kurt said, like, if it was determined that a person had been possessed, would an exorcism be done? An exorcism could be done. Exorcisms don't have to be done by a priest, a Christian priest. And in fact, I was just talking to one of the owners at the Crooked Path, where we do our ritual, where we just did our recent Lunaza ritual, and he was talking about the night before that he had done an exorcism on someone who needed a spirit dislodged from them. So absolutely, you would find a pagan or witch, or Wiccan, or somebody, a witch who was trained in exorcism or dislodging that negative entity, and then you would go to that person. But I think at the first start, I would just start with doing some protection magic and see if that's enough. And oftentimes that will be enough. And if it doesn't seem like it's enough, then you would consult with someone who is more of an expert. But I hope that answers the question. I hope I understood the question. I hope that answers it. But okay, any other questions? Put them in the chat. Kurt said, yes, say that you invoked something and it's totally something different. Well, if you are doing what you should do when you invoke something, I wouldn't just invoke just anything. I would make sure I had all the layers of my protection before I invoked something. And by invoking, I assume you mean pulling it and drawing it into your body. And then you have to be clear at the end of invoking something that you are letting it go too. But the first step, a witch who is pretty trained, like who is doing invoking, should be pretty clear and understand how to set the energetic boundaries and how to make sure that they're protecting themselves, so that so when they invoke, once they let go, the thing leaves as well. So I hope that helps. Yeah. Any other questions, put them in the chat. Our Demystifying Witchcraft course is opening soon, and probably by the end of August. I'm putting together everything right now. So if you are interested in learning the basics and the foundations of witchcraft, our Demystifying Witchcraft course may be exactly what you need. It goes from the beginning of like how to work with energy, how to work with the elements, casting a circle, calling the quarters, calling deities and working with deities, writing spells, the science of magic, the laws of magic. There's all kinds of stuff included in that course. And the beautiful part is that when I add to that course in the future, if you purchase the course at any point, you'll get everything I add in the future as well. So we will be bringing that soon to the public. So look forward to that. And our Shadow Seekers membership, where you can do your shadow work and your energy work and kind of work on your any of your limiting beliefs and anything that's kind of holding you back, that is also going to be opening just for a few days somewhere in the next probably few weeks to a month. Okay, so I'll have some dates soon for all of that. But in the meantime, if you like what you hear, leave a heart or a thumbs up, and that will help us get this out to the feed of more people. I'm also going to drop a link in the chat for the Witch's Guide to Shadow Work. So if you are not already on our mailing list, you can sign up here, and then you will have a copy of the Witch's Guide to Shadow Work sent to you, and then you'll be put on our mailing list so you'll never miss future episodes like this. All the replays will be sent to you, and you'll also get invites to some of those public rituals that we do. Also, let's see, anything else? If you are not already subscribed to our Body Mind Witchcraft YouTube channel, make sure to subscribe to that as well, and that way you won't miss any of the future episodes either. And Peggy said, who or what would a person invoke? So there's a difference between evoking and invoking. Evoking is when you you call a spirit or energy to your space, and invoking is when you call it down into your body. So I recommend that people, before they try to invoke and actually call a spirit or a goddess or something or a god into their body, I would just make sure that you have done a lot of your own protective magic. You're very clear of why you want to invoke versus evoke. And I generally recommend that people start with evoking, which is calling that spirit or that entity or that god or goddess into their space before they try invoking. Get good at evoking before you try to draw it down into your body. And then Cersei was saying too, Scott Cunningham's Spirits Depart incense works great. She said, we had an entity in our house and my brother was into some negative stuff. So yeah, so sometimes people will just kind of draw negative energy to them. So it's great to know. That's a good resource, that Spirit Depart incense from Scott Cunningham also works really well to dispel a negative energy. All right, well, I hope that you enjoyed tonight's episode. As always, I love spending Tuesday night with you. Hopefully you have a great time on 8/8 for the Lionsgate portal and that big alignment we have going on top of it being astrological lunaza and the full moon, a lot going on. So whether you celebrate with us in Covenant Midnight's Flame at our ritual or you celebrate somewhere else, happy lunaza season, happy Lionsgate portal. And until next time, blessed be.